If it's one thing these last 2 weeks have shown me, is that the future is bright for TCU, and Jeremy Payne is the reason why. Oh, yeah, it's Locked On Horned Frogs. Play my music.
You are Locked On Horned Frogs, your daily podcast on the TCU Horned Frogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? I'm Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, host of your favorite one-stop shop for everything TCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the country. But you know it all better as the Locked On Horned Frogs podcast. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Woo! It's been a journey to get here. And speaking of journeys, we're looking forward on this journey for TCU, taking a look at the recruiting class. They brought in 22 players. We're going to break down what positions were prioritized, what is it that TCU is looking to do with this class, but then also in segment 2, where are these guys from? Spoiler, everybody's from Texas. Everybody's from Texas. But let's kick this thing off with the proper way to begin looking at the future, because though everybody thinks about the recruiting class and the incoming freshmen as the future, that is the case, just not immediately. Of those 22, probably 5 or so are going to come in and be impact players, and I'm going very generously with my prediction. It's going to be probably 2 years before you see them. The future is bright for TCU in 2026 because of Jeremy Payne. Jeremy Payne has the running back position looking bright in a way that TCU fans have been clamoring for going into a season. I like Kavorian Barnes, and I like what he was able to do for the team. Going into the year, there was not this optimism. Walking out of last year, there was not this optimism that you have right now. Kavorian Barnes, and I hate to say this, but the reason Jeremy Payne has created so much optimism is because of unfortunate circumstances involving Kavorian Barnes. You don't want to say it, but sometimes an injury can be a blessing in disguise, because Jeremy Payne likely would have never reached these ascensions, never would have reached this point had he not had the opportunity due to Barnes's injury. Frankie Beverly and Mays once said, "Joy and pain is like sunshine and rain." And forgive me for being so on the nose with the look at Jeremy Payne's name and the whole flip of that. Smokey told me you got to pay a little agony if you want to have the ecstasy. That is, in my opinion, the same exact principle. You want the good, you got to take the bad. And when Barnes went down, that was agonizing. When Payne was able to deliver back-to-back 100-yard performances, nearly 200 yards on the ground, that was ecstasy. When Barnes went down with an injury, that was pain and rain. But when you saw what Payne was able to do over these last 2 weeks, that was sunshine and joy. That's the way that I look at this injury being a blessing in disguise for TCU, because Jeremy Payne would have been on the roster no matter what, right? Like, I don't know, the way these transfer portal things be going these days, I don't know. But let's assume that Payne would have been on the roster no matter what. It's not that Payne would have been a different player in 2026, that he would have been a different player in the spring had he not had these 2 weeks. But I do think it focuses him as the priority in a way that maybe he wouldn't have been, at least for me. I saw what Payne was able to do. He was able to give flashes, but I'm big on proof of concept. I knew he was a talented player. I did not know he could be a lead back. I did not know that at 5'10", 180 pounds, he would be able to run so tough on the inside. I knew that he was going to be able to be fast. I knew he was going to be able to move on the outside, on the perimeter. But I did not know that Jeremy Payne could get me tough yards on the inside multiple times throughout a game. He was able to show me that specifically in this last matchup. I say that Kavorian Barnes' injury presented an opportunity because in 2 weeks ago game against Houston, Payne had 18 carries. That was a season high. He responded with 103 yards. That was a season high. This next week, they said, you know what? We're going to up the load. We're going to give you 26 carries in a game in which he didn't touch the ball much in the fourth quarter. So it's not like he racked up a bunch of late carries. Kavorian Barnes had 25 carries in a game. That was his season high. Jeremy Payne got 26 carries and only touched the ball 3 times in the fourth quarter. So now you see the increase in workload, you see the increase in frequency, and you see the increase in priority. How does Payne respond to that? He gives you 174. He gives you a 44-yard reception on top of that. You're looking at over 200 yards from Kavorian. Excuse me, I just keep wanting to say Kavorian Barnes. But Payne gave you 200 yards in total yardage. This is the first time that you've seen a back-to-back 100-yard rusher this year. This is the first time since Kendre Miller did it. Kendre Miller been on my Saints for 3 years now. All right. This is the first time since Kendre Miller that you've had a player rush for 170-something yards. This is the most since then. 174 is the most since Miller's 185 in 2021. The 218 scrimmage yards are the most since 2003. Jeremy Payne just gave the most scrimmage yards by a running back in over 2 decades. Yes, the future is bright. And I know a lot of people may say, why are you saying that the future is bright because of Jeremy Payne? It's Josh Hoover. He's the quarterback. He's going to be the catalyst. We're going to throw the ball more than we're going to run. Yes, 100%. And we'll talk about whether or not he was snubbed from the Big 12 team tomorrow or later on today. Gosh. Jeremy Payne is the reason the future is bright because Payne is the complement that Hoover needs. Payne is the guy that Hoover has been looking for all year long. He's the guy that TCU fans have been wanting all year long. I don't care how good your quarterback is. You never want to put him in a situation where he has to be the entire offense. Never. That is a recipe for disaster 9 times out of 10. And sometimes it just so happens to work. 2025 was not that one time for TCU. Jeremy Payne was asked to do, Josh Hoover was asked to do so much. It's a lot of J's, there's a lot of running backs, but Josh Hoover was asked to do entirely too much for this team. Entirely too much. And maybe he'll be able to drop it down just 5%, but he needs a running game. Offenses need a running game. TCU is one of the worst running teams in the Big 12 until these last 2 weeks. Until these last 2 weeks when they knock off a top 25 team. Until the last 2 weeks when they have what is, my opinion, the best win of their season against Cincinnati. When you get 174. Man, I think TCU might have ran for more than 174 yards as a team once, maybe twice this year. Payne just did that by himself. That's what you need. That's what you need. And you're going to have guys, you're going to lose Eric McAllister next year. Now, I don't know if Jordan Dwyer is going to step up and be that number one the same way that McAllister stepped up and became that number one. You're going to need some compliments on the ground. You're going to need some compliments from that offensive line that's going to look drastically different as well. But the run game is imperative. And I think that this year showed you. And that's not a shot at Josh Hoover. That's literally how almost every single quarterback needs to operate. Almost every single quarterback needs to operate in a way that gives them a running game. Ooh, I'm excited, though. I'm excited because you saw over 5 yards to carry both games. He has 6.7 last or this week, 8.7 this week, 6.7 the week prior. Let me make sure I got those numbers exactly correct. No, 6.7 today, 5.7 the week before. He had 2 touchdowns. Josh Hoover had only had a running game go over that. Actually, never. Never. I just say Kendre Miller was the one in 2021. Jeremy Payne had 12 carries earlier in the season. This time he gets 18, he gets 26, and you see what he does. Also, he was he had 7 of the first 13 touches in the game. That means he was being prioritized. These are all aspects that you need to see replicated. So Jeremy Payne, and I'll say it again. We almost didn't get this. Let me bring back the reference from earlier. Frankie Beverly and Mays said that joy and pain is like sunshine and rain. Smokey said you have to pay a little agony if you want to have the ecstasy. And both of these things were true in relation to Kavorian Barnes' injury and Jeremy Payne's ascension. The optimism is so much higher than it would have been. A lot of people would have been excited about who Payne was, what he could bring to the team. But Jeremy Payne would not have generated this level of excitement, this level of optimism, this level of belief going into 2026 if he did not have the last 2 weeks where he had back-to-back 100-yard games. And last week, he looked an absolute complete back. He was able to catch the ball for a 44-yard reception. He had runs up the middle. He had runs with speed. He was able to carry 20-plus carries. That's not something everybody can do. And on his last carry, he went for 51 yards and a touchdown. That means he didn't wear down. 5'10", 180 pounds. Did not know he could do it. I believe in proof of concept, not just theoretical talent. Theoretical put him in this position. That's cool. But in these 8 months between the season finale and then the next year's season debut, I have something a little bit more tangible to hang my hat on. And that's the Payne is the future at running back, a position where it has not been bright for a long time. And he has the future bright for TCU as he lines up next to Josh Hoover. Ooh, I can't wait. But let's move forward. Let's move forward and look even deeper into the future. Let's look at the incoming freshmen, because every single player is from Texas. I've never seen this before, but I kind of understand why they did it. I'll break it down as I continue with Locked On Horned Frogs. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something that you wrap. It's a way to share memories, because Aura is not your average picture frame. You can pretend, or excuse me, you can preload the frame with photos of gifting it before you even do it, right? You can preload them before you even gift it. And now they open it up and all the memories are right there in front of you. What a way to show how much it is that you care for grandparents, newlyweds, your parents, your kids, whoever. If they love pictures, Aura is the way to go. Now, my siblings recently told me about Aura farming. And I want to give this gift to somebody. Here you go. And I'm an Aura farm as they open it up in amazement and joy. That's what my plan is. And siblings, let me know if I use Aura farming the right way. Maybe I'm old. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. By using the promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's auraframes.com. Promo code COLLEGE. The deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On Horned Frogs, I appreciate you making this your first listen of the day every day. Remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey's over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South the Exclusive. Starts with an S, ends with an S. I said that it's been a journey because, as you see, I'm in a different setup than I usually am. Man, I ain't had no Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi was so bad it came out scrambled. I recorded a couple times yesterday. I just couldn't bring you guys the episode. The quality was not good. I'm sorry, but let me know if the quality is bad right now, because I can't tell. It looks great when I'm recording until I go and post. So if it's bad, please let me know. And we can shut this whole little thing down. But if not, we're going to keep rolling, looking towards the future. TCU went with nothing but Texas players. TCU went with absolutely nothing but Texas players in their 22-man recruiting class. It's shocking to me, specifically on the high school front, right? So every single high school player was a Texas recruit. I'm saying I don't know what it looks like. I can always just check myself on my phone as this goes. But every single one of the 20 high school recruits was from Texas. And to me, that was something I had never seen before. Now, I'm going to have to reflect back on my past history with recruiting and everything that goes into it, right? Because recruiting it's not my specialty, so to speak, right? Like, that's not just everything I do. Okay, good. We look good. We look good. All right. No one told me in the comments I look good. Not like that, but as far as the quotes. If you want to tell me I look good like that, though. All right, now. Anyway, as far as recruiting goes, I did a lot of it with Locked On HBCU. I did come from a college show before I came to this show. But the thing is, it's a different ballpark. That's FCS recruiting, right? So I've seen Grambling get pretty much everybody from Louisiana, but they'll get a couple of people from Alabama, get a couple of people from here. I've seen TSU, right? Texas Southern get primarily Houston talent, primarily Texas talent, excuse me. I've seen FAMU get primarily Florida talent, North Carolina Central, you get it, right? Like, I've seen these teams primarily focus on locking down the state. And my dad is from Louisiana, and I'm aware of what LSU does, and they want to lock down the state. Outside of LSU, I don't know much about big school recruiting as far as firsthand information. I haven't studied trends. So when I see TCU go and get all Texas talent, my antenna perk up. My antenna says, drop this into the group chat with all of the other Big 12 hosts and ask if they've ever seen something like this. No one had. No one had ever seen this. And in 2025, they're the only Texas school to do that. Especially, I'm speaking specifically to early signing day. I'm sure they'll get some high school kids from Louisiana and Oklahoma and Arkansas when you get to National Signing Day in February. But as it stands right now, everybody is from Texas. And I think that they're one of the few states that can actually pull that off. They're one of the few states who could actually get away with that. And you got some 4-stars in here. So it's not like you're just taking the bottom of the barrel. I remember being at HBCU. People, my alma mater is Texas Southern. And people would always ask me, well, why doesn't just TSU just recruit Texas? They'll beat everybody, right? And the idea is that if you get you're probably not getting tier 1, tier 2 talent from Texas there, and you would still be dominant. That tells you how much value, how much stock that Texas high school football holds with the rest of the country. Because people thought that not only could TSU just recruit Texas talent, they had to recruit next to another HBCU and PV. They had to recruit to multiple other FCS schools like that. But people just say, hey, you just go get Texas talent, you're going to win. TCU's trying that out. Just go get Texas talent. You're going to get some great players. You are. And this is what Dykes had to say about the, I guess, the trend, so to speak. It almost feels intentional. I don't think it was. But when you go that many players and every single player is from the state of Texas, it almost feels like you were making a point, though I don't think that's the case. Dykes said, Texas is going to be our base when it comes to recruiting. I think we all agree that Texas has the best high school football. Texas has the best investment in high school football. Players, from a coaching standpoint and from the facilities, from the resources. We just believe in the Texas high school coaches and the job they do developing these players and teaching them great culture. So many of these kids come from winning programs that a number of these guys are still in the state playoffs. Okay. I love that he didn't just say that Texas has the best high school football. I love that he didn't just say that, because there's a couple of states that claim that, like Florida will sit here and say, oh, no, we have the best. Georgia will say we have the best. I feel like California used to say that. I haven't heard that in a long time, though. I'll be honest with you. They do got some quarterbacks coming through there, but I haven't heard California throw their name in the hat in a while. I know some of those other southern states like Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. I'm not saying they feel like they have the best, though. I think Louisiana feels like they have the best. They're just a little bit smaller. Right? They're a little bit smaller. They're not in the conversation, but teams in Florida, teams in Georgia, teams in Texas, obviously, they all have that. So the fact that Sonny didn't just say Texas has the best high school football, I appreciated that he actually broke down why. Because to me, that screams these guys are going to be prepared for everything that it is that we're bringing to them. They're going to be prepared to step into our snow room. They're going to be prepared for how we handle workouts. They're going to be prepared for how we go about trips, right? Like, it's not just that they have talent, it's that we trust the coaches as well, because that's what makes it different. That's what makes it different, because I can go and I can say, man, I got to go to Georgia because Georgia has the best players because they had whoever, right? Like, I think they had Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter came from Georgia. Or they got Travis Hunter and I got that. I can say, oh, Texas got Myles Garrett. Or I could do these things. Florida, Louisiana, I could do that. But when you break down the process, that tells you that 4 stars can become big stars. That tells you that 3 stars, 2 stars, they can come up and they can increase, because it's not about stardom once you get to college, man. Like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to the coaches. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's something that's cool to talk about until they actually get to the college. But that 2-star went through probably the same process as that 5-star. Maybe he wasn't as highly regarded, but I know that he has the preparation. I know he has the mindset. That's how you get guys like Ed Small. And I don't know what kind of star he was, but as far as a freshman who comes in and he's immediately ready, he's mature, he's been through this. It feels like he's been on the field for a couple of years at this point, because he comes through a system. Players from Texas will come through a system and they'll be, I don't want to say completely prepared, but sometimes better prepared than others, because it is so serious. It is like a religion in this state. So I think that's just a positive. I was happy that he did that, but everybody knows how great Texas is. Maybe they don't have the depth of the reasons why, but everybody knows Texas has great high school football. Texas has great high school football, and because of that, you can get away with getting all your recruits. If you was in Idaho, you can't get away with getting all Idaho recruits. I'm sorry, not at a Power 4 level. Maybe FCS, but on a Power 4 level, you sit there thinking, man, you ain't competing with all these players from Idaho. And if that's a shot at Idaho, I'm sorry. I do love potatoes. Hopefully that makes it up. But let's move forward because I want to break down these 22 players beyond just the fact that they're all from Texas. Except for Noah McKinney, he came from Oklahoma State, but he was in high school in Texas at the beginning. Then I think he moved to Nevada, and then Kari Ashley, the tight end on the JUCO level, he's from Georgia, but he went to school in Texas. So everybody has Texas roots. I focus specifically on the high school guys, but it goes beyond that. Anyway, let's push forward and take a look at these 22 recruits as we continue with Locked On Horned Frogs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Last night, the Cowboys and Lions had a phenomenal game. It was a lot of fun. Maybe you didn't get there until the third quarter, though, and you felt like your opportunity to win some money was gone. You hear me? Wrong. That is not true. It doesn't matter. When it comes to FanDuel, you can get there in the third quarter, fourth quarter, first quarter, be there before the game. You can always have some money to make because they have live bets. It's not just about what will happen going into the game. It's about where are we right now? Do you think a comeback's on the horizon? All of these things play a part, and Locked On wants to present all this information to you. So please take the advice. Go to FanDuel right now. Get involved in everything related to the NFL season, the NBA season. I think, hey, man, it feels like it's a long way away, but it's not. It feels like it's a long way away, but it's not. Baseball will be here before you know it. College athletics is here before you know it, right? Like, today, TCU will be in a couple of games. Got a couple of games on Friday from different sports, volleyball, soccer, basketball. It's all there for you. Please go make some money. Go to FanDuel.com right now. As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked On Horned Frogs, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day, making it all the way to segment 3, and I thank you 2 times for that. Thank you. 22 recruits, 20 out of the high school ranks, 2 out of the transfer portal ranks. We'll get to that in a second because I'll be very interested to see where the transfer portal, if you get a lot of transfer portal players in February, because I would get more transfer portal players than they did right now. But let's just go through it real quick. You had 2 tight ends, 4 wide receivers, a long snapper, number 2 long snapper in the country, by the way. 3 defensive backs, 2 running backs, 4 defensive linemen, 4 offensive linemen, 1 quarterback, and 1 linebacker. I think we see where the priority is, right? So you want to get in the trenches. You get 8 players in the trenches if you combine offensive and defensive line. That's something that has been an issue for TCU at times in 2025, and it's something that needs to be a focus moving forward. Once again, you're not looking at these guys to come in and be day one starters, day one impact players. If it happens, bonus. But most times, especially with offensive linemen, I'm looking for them in year 2. Unless you go get like, a top 5 guy in the country or something like that. That's most times when you'll see a day one starter. But a lot of times I'm looking at sophomore year for these offensive linemen, get them in a strength and conditioning program. Let them know what this college body to body is like. It's a little bit different than high school. Let them know that. But you get 4 wide receivers, and we're going to break down the wide receivers at length next week. We're going to get more in detail with the wide receivers next week. You get 4 defensive linemen, 4 offensive linemen. So I talked about how it's 8 total. That's a even split between the 2. Defensive line, I feel like you just need to bolster that interior as well. Bolster those edges. You got a 4-star edge out of is that Temple? No, where did he come from? From Austin. You got a 4-star edge out of Austin. You got a 4-star defensive lineman out of Arlington, right? Shout out Arlington, man. Arlington Martin, Jesse Forrest, stand up. But like when you look at it, even the top talent, you get 5 or so 4-star-ish players. Once again, stars don't really matter, but it's a way to have that conversation. This is my thing about recruiting. There's no one database. So to say that this is a 4-star player, to who? To you, but not to them. So which one do I value more? That's the conversation to have. Or it's really not a conversation to have because it doesn't matter. You're a 4-star caliber player. If 24/7 Composite says you're a 4-star player, you're 4-star caliber, right? And it's not always even. So you have 24/7 sports, you have 24/7 sports composite. Two different grades sometimes, right? Like Vincent Johnson Jr. is a 4-star composite, but he is not a 4-star on just straight 24/7. He's a 3. Ace Martin is a 4-star on just straight 24/7, but he's a 3-star on 24/7 composite. Like you start thinking and questioning, well, what's the difference here? That'd be my question. So I'm going to say that TCU has 5 4-star caliber players in this early signing day. You have Jason Bradford, a safety out of Temple. You have Carter Buck, an edge rusher out of Austin. You have Jesse Ford, a defensive lineman from Arlington Martin specifically, excuse me. Vincent Johnson Jr., an offensive tackle out of Sulphur Springs. And then you have Ace Martin, a running back out of Port Arthur, Texas. I'm from Port Arthur, Texas, 80 miles away for the that's welcome to Texas. Welcome to Houston. Slim Thug. Shout out Pimp C. But I don't actually know the lyrics. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm from Port Arthur, Texas, 90 miles away. For the last 15 years, I've been repping my state. I know the real DJ Screw. Anyway, you're not here for karaoke. I got a microphone like I'm doing karaoke, but y'all not here for karaoke. One thing that popped out to me is they only got 2 transfers. One came from Oklahoma State, which was a mid-season transfer because Gundy got fired. And then another was a JUCO guy. Now, the portal doesn't open until January. So you can't flood the market with transfer portal guys. But I would have thought that maybe you would have got 2, 3 JUCO players. I'll be fascinated to see what is the amount of transfer players that TCU brings in. Because TCU is in a very interesting place. TCU is in a very interesting place where they need to do something that they're probably not really ready for. But Josh Hoover has 1 more year of eligibility. I can't waste the last year of Hoover's eligibility with players who I don't think are going to be ready immediately. Now, I'm very pro recruit high school players. I think they build the foundation of your team. They are players who are going to be around a lot longer. They allow for less turnover, which means more consistency in my mind. Obviously, the transfer portal goes both ways. So you can get players in the portal, you can lose players in the portal. You raise that guy up who was a 3-star, and now he's very valuable to you, and somebody comes in with the bankroll. I get it. Everything changes. But in a perfect world, you're able to take that guy who's a freshman and keep him for 3 years. You're able to bring that guy and develop him, get 2 years of play out of him instead of that guy who comes in as a transfer portal guy. Like we just mentioned earlier, Kavorian Barnes, UTSA, transferred in this year. You get 1 year out of Barnes. 1 year out of Barnes. And unfortunately ended up being an injury-prone year for him. But you got Jeremy Payne, and you got him for 3 more years. You got John Denman, or excuse me, you got him for 2 more years. He was sophomore this year. You had Denman, you got him for 3 more years. You got Palmer, you got him for 3 more years. When I say the future is bright at running back, Palmer and Denman had good games against Cincinnati as well. I just thought that, obviously Payne was the star of the game. He was the story of the game. He was the player of the game. He is the reason the future is bright. But these are the things you get when recruiting high school players. We get to have conversations like that instead of the senior who transferred in from, I don't know, New Mexico. He transferred in from New Mexico and he didn't really click immediately. He didn't get the playbook immediately. And this is his last year. So you really only got a strong 5-6 games out of him instead of getting a strong 2-3 years out of him. I'm a very pro high school guy. But at the same time, Josh Hoover has 1 year of eligibility. And you feel like he's the guy. How aggressive do you get when you know you have the guy? Because it's one thing when you're not sure about the quarterback position. It's the most important position on the field. You feel like you have a star at that position. It wouldn't shock me that despite TCU not being in the conversation for Big 12 championships, one could argue this is how you get there. You go get aggressive in the portal. I mean, Texas Tech just did it with NIL. So, I get it. You can't sit back and say we're going to develop a foundation. You got Josh Hoover for 1 more year. If it ain't go time now, it's never going to be go time ever. Never. You can't wait and hope that this kid you just recruited, because you just got a freshman quarterback. Hopefully he can replace Hoover the next year, and now we can all grow together. You got to start right now. You got to take advantage of it. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your patience. I'm so sorry that yesterday we weren't able to get an episode. I'm sincerely sorry. We'll be back today, about 6:30, an extra episode today. It'll be shorter because it's the second one in the day. But once again, I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience. Hope you'll be back with me later on, because was Josh Hoover snubbed from the all Big 12 list? We got a lot of Hoover talk. We got to spread it out over Friday and Monday. But we'll be talking about it a little bit deeper tonight as we continue, or excuse me, as we wrap up today's episode of Locked on Horned Frogs. I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Until the next time that we hear each other, family, take care, stay blessed. Peace.